One Fight Night 35 results. Shadows KO Backfist, Ruotolo epic MMA debut, and Hemetsberger historic win. Welcome to Fights, the ultimate home of UFC breaking news, shocking updates, and every story that sets the MMA universe on fire. Stay tuned, because here, the real action begins. One Fight Night 35, a night of history, power, and new beginnings. Introduction. The lights of Bangkok's Lumpinee Stadium burned hotter than ever as One Fight Night 35 unfolded, a night that blended history, violence, artistry, and emotion into a single spectacle. This was not just another fight card. It was a celebration of martial arts at the highest level, an arena where careers could be defined by a single punch, a single submission, or a single act of grit. For fans around the world, One Fight Night 35 promised unforgettable action, and by the end of the evening, it had over-delivered. The event carried a sense of anticipation long before the first bell rang. Social media buzzed with predictions, fighters arrived with steely determination, and the atmosphere inside Lumpinee was nothing short of electric. Fans who packed the historic Muay Thai venue knew they were in for something special. They were not just there to watch fights, they were there to witness moments that could echo through combat sports history. And moments they received in abundance. From a devastating spinning back fist knockout that will live forever in highlight reels, to the crowning of Austria's first ever one world champion, to the seamless arrival of a grappling superstar in the unforgiving world of MMA, the card had it all. At the center of it all was Jackie Bunton versus Stella Hemetsberger for the vacant women's strawweight Muay Thai world title. It was a fight not only for a belt, but for legacy, national pride, and the validation of years of sacrifice. And when the dust settled, Hemetsberger had her hand raised, creating a historic moment that may inspire a new generation of martial artists. The atmosphere at Lumpinee Stadium. Lumpinee Stadium has always been sacred ground for Muay Thai. Every fight that has taken place there carries echoes of legends who carved their names into history within its four walls. But on this particular night, the atmosphere felt different, more charged, more international, more symbolic of Owen Championship's growing influence. The crowd was a mixture of die-hard Thai fight fans, international supporters, and curious first-time attendees who had been swept up by the hype of the card. Banners waved, chants echoed in multiple languages, and the rhythmic beats of Thai drums collided with the modern roar of combat sports culture. As the fighters warmed up backstage, the arena lights dimmed and the giant screen above the ring flashed highlight reels of each warrior. Every cheer was louder than the last. Every entrance music thumped deeper into the chests of the audience. By the time the first fight began, the stadium was already a powder keg waiting to explode. The main event, Jackie Bunton versus Stella Hemetsberger. The headline fight was the perfect way to end such a card, a battle for the vacant women's strawweight Muay Thai World Championship. Jackie Bunton, the Filipino-American kickboxing star, had long been considered one of the most talented strikers in the world. Known for her crisp boxing combinations, sharp movement, and icy composure under fire, she had been chasing a one world title for years. For her, this was not just another fight. It was the culmination of a dream. Across the ring stood Stella Hemetsberger, an Austrian powerhouse with a reputation for resilience, grit, and unrelenting pressure. While not as globally famous as Bunton before the fight, Hemetsberger carried with her the determination of someone who had been overlooked one too many times. She was fighting not just for herself, but for her country, hoping to put Austria on the combat sports map. Round 1. As the bell rang, the fighters touched gloves and the tension broke into violence. Bunton immediately took the center, peppering Hemetsberger with sharp jabs and low kicks. Her speed was evident, and her punches landed cleanly early, but Hemetsberger refused to back down. She walked forward, absorbing the shots and firing back with heavy body kicks that echoed through the stadium. The round was competitive, but Bunton's accuracy gave her the edge. Hemetsberger, however, was already showing that she could take punishment and keep coming. Round 2. Hemetsberger began to find her rhythm in the second. She closed the distance more effectively, cutting off the ring and forcing Bunton into exchanges. The Austrian fighter's power started to make the difference. Her hooks to the body and relentless clinch pressure began to sap Bunton's movement. For the first time, Bunton looked uncomfortable, forced to fight off the back foot. By the end of the round, the momentum had shifted. The crowd sensed it, growing louder with every exchange. Round 3. This was the round that changed the fight. Bunton tried to reassert control, but Hemetsberger's pressure was suffocating. She landed a huge left hook that snapped Bunton's head back, followed by knees in the clinch that left the American struggling to breathe. Hemetsberger was no longer just surviving, she was dominating. The fans erupted as Hemetsberger raised her hands at the end of the round, exuding confidence. Bunton, meanwhile, returned to her corner, breathing heavily, her team urging her to stay sharp. Round 4. Desperation brought out the best in Bunton. She opened the fourth round with renewed aggression, throwing combinations in bursts and mixing in head kicks that narrowly missed their mark. For a moment, it looked like she might turn the tide back in her favor. But Hemetsberger absorbed the storm and answered with even heavier fire. Her punches landed with thuds, her body kicks visibly slowed Bunton, and in the clinch she landed elbows that opened a small cut above Bunton's eye. Blood trickled down, a reminder of the stakes. Round 5. The final round was a war. Both fighters, exhausted but unwilling to quit, stood toe-to-toe in the center of the ring. Every punch, every kick, every knee was thrown with the knowledge that a world title hung in balance. The audience was on its feet, roaring with every strike. Bunton, fighting on heart, tried to rally with combinations, but Hemetsberger's pressure never relented. She pushed forward until the final bell, leaving no doubt about her dominance in the latter rounds. When the bell rang, both fighters raised their hands, but the look in Hemetsberger's eyes told the story. She knew. The decision. The judges' scorecards were unanimous. Hemetsberger was declared the winner and the new women's strawweight Muay Thai world champion. Tears welled in her eyes as the belt was wrapped around her waist. The Austrian fighter had just achieved the unthinkable. She had not only beaten one of the most respected strikers in the sport, but she had also become Austria's first ever one world champion. The crowd roared in approval, and even Bunton showed respect, embracing her opponent in a moment of sportsmanship. For Hemetsberger, it was the culmination of years of sacrifice, struggle, and perseverance. For Austria, it was history. Significance of the win. Hemetsberger's victory went beyond personal glory. It signaled the global reach of Owen Championship, showcasing that champions can emerge from anywhere, from countries not traditionally associated with combat sports dominance. Her win will inspire fighters back home in Austria and across Europe, proving that with dedication and heart, even the biggest stages are within reach. For Bunton, the loss was heartbreaking, but not the end. Her performance still showcased her skill, and she remains one of the most dangerous strikers in the world. The defeat will sting, but it may also fuel her journey toward redemption. The co-main event, Shadow Singha Mawan versus Bampara Kouyate. If the main event was a story of history being written, the co-main was pure violence, sudden, brutal, and unforgettable. Shadow Singha Mawan had walked into Lumpinee Stadium already known for his ferocity, but what he delivered on this night elevated him into highlight reel immortality. Bampara Kouyate, ranked as the number 2 contender in the division, was expected to be a stern test. A long, rangy striker with knockout power in both hands, Kouyate came into the fight with confidence, believing his distance management would nullify Shadow's aggressive style. But Shadow had different plans. Round 1. The first round was tense. Kouyate used his jab and teeps to keep Shadow at bay, circling away from the Thai's power side. Shadow, true to his style, marched forward, eating some shots but landing heavy low kicks and hooks to the body. The crowd could feel the storm building. Kouyate landed some sharp right hands, but every time he connected, Shadow walked through them, snarling as if each punch only fueled him further. By the end of the round, the writing was on the wall. Kouyate could not keep Shadow off of him forever. Round 2. What happened next will live forever in the memory of those who witnessed it. Just 80 seconds into the second round, Shadow feinted a jab, took a step inside, and in a flash, spun his body. His back fist came around like a hammer, smashing flush onto Kouyate's jaw. The sound of the strike echoed like a gunshot. Kouyate's legs gave way instantly, his body collapsing backwards onto the canvas. The referee dove in, waving off the fight as the Lumpinee Stadium crowd erupted in chaos. Shadow had done it. Another knockout, another violent masterpiece. The official time was 1 minute and 20 seconds of round 2. The aftermath. Shadow climbed onto the ropes, pounding his chest and roaring to the crowd. His celebration was as explosive as the finish itself, and for good reason. This was his 6th consecutive finish, a streak that placed him among the most feared fighters in the entire organization. For Kouyate, it was a crushing defeat. Ranked second, he had hoped to secure a title shot with a win. Instead, he became another victim of Shadow's highlight reel. For Shadow, the victory was more than just another notch in his record. It was a statement. He wasn't content to being a contender anymore. He wanted the title, and after delivering one of the most devastating knockouts in recent ONE history, it was hard to argue against him. Tye Ruotolo's MMA debut, a new era begins. If Shadow's knockout was the night's most violent moment, then Tye Ruotolo's MMA debut was its most symbolic. Already regarded as one of the greatest grapplers of his generation, Ruotolo had conquered the submission grappling scene, but MMA was a different beast. And fans wondered, could his